Hey everyone, I hope you are doing well. Let's talk about your tax refund because this is one of those years where the numbers are actually pretty encouraging, but the experience of getting there can feel incredibly frustrating. And I want to make sure you have the full picture of what is happening, so you know exactly what to expect and what to do if your refund is not moving the way you thought it would. Refunds are coming in higher this year compared to last year. That is genuinely good news. But at the same time, a lot of people are waiting longer than they expected or running into delays that feel confusing and stressful, especially when they cannot figure out why. So let's walk through all of it together, clearly and honestly, because you deserve answers that actually make sense. Before we get into it, I am curious where you are in this process right now. Have you already filed and you are just sitting here watching your bank account and waiting? Or are you still working on getting your return together? Drop that in the comments because I want to get a sense of where most of you are at right now in this tax season. Let's start with the big picture number because I think it sets the tone for everything else. The average tax refund so far in 2026 is sitting at around $2,400. That is a meaningful jump compared to where the average was at this point last year, and it is a number that matters to a lot of households who are counting on that money to catch up on bills, cover unexpected expenses, or just get a little breathing room in a financial environment that has not been easy for most people. So yes, there is more money on the table this year. The refunds being issued are larger on average. That is the good news, and it is real. But here is where it gets a little more complicated. Even though refund amounts are up, fewer people have received their refunds so far compared to this same point last year. Processing has been slightly slower. The total number of returns processed is a bit behind where it was 12 months ago. And I know that combination can sound alarming when you read it. Fewer returns processed, slower processing, and you are sitting there waiting on money you were expecting. But I want to give you some important context before you go down a worry spiral. Because this kind of early season unevenness is actually pretty normal. Every single year, the numbers look a little lopsided at the start of filing season. The IRS is ramping up, returns are coming in waves, and the system takes a little time to find its rhythm. The numbers tend to level out as more returns flood in and the processing pace picks up. So the fact that things look slightly slow or uneven right now does not necessarily mean something is broken or that your refund is in trouble. What is genuinely new and different this year is a specific dynamic around tax credits that I want to make sure you understand clearly, because it is probably the most important explanation for why so many people who filed early are still waiting. If you claimed the Earned Income Tax Credit or the Child Tax Credit on your return, your refund was legally held by the IRS until after February 15th, not because anything was wrong with your return, not because you made an error, but because of a federal law called the PATH Act, which stands for Protecting Americans from Tax Hikes. This law requires the IRS to hold refunds that include those specific credits until mid-February every year. The stated reason is fraud prevention. These credits have historically been targets for fraudulent claims, so the IRS takes extra time to verify them before releasing the money. The practical effect is that millions of people who filed perfectly accurate returns in January were sitting in a mandatory holding pattern, watching the calendar, waiting for February 15th to come and go before their refund could move at all. Well, that hold has now officially lifted. The PATH Act delay is over for this season, and the wave of refunds that were sitting in that queue is now moving. The IRS has scheduled refund batches for late February and into early March specifically to work through the backlog of PATH-affected returns. If you claimed either of those credits and you have been watching your status without seeing movement for weeks, this is the moment when things should start to change for you. If you chose direct deposit, which is the fastest option by far, you could potentially see that money hit your account in the coming days, depending on when your batch is processed and which bank you use. Some banks release the funds the moment they receive the deposit notification from the Treasury, which can mean you see the money a day or two before the official scheduled date. Other banks hold it until the scheduled release date. So the experience can vary even among people whose refunds were processed in the same batch. Now let's talk about how refunds are being delivered this year, because there is a notable shift happening that affects a lot of people. The IRS has been steadily moving away from paper checks and toward direct deposit as the standard delivery method, and that movement has accelerated significantly in 2026. For most people, direct deposit is genuinely the better option. It is faster, it is more secure, and you eliminate the risk of a check getting lost or delayed in the mail. A refund that would take 2 to 4 weeks to arrive by paper check can hit your bank account in as little as a week or two when processed electronically. That is a meaningful difference when you are waiting on money you need. That said, I recognize that not everyone has a straightforward path to direct deposit. Some people do not have a bank account set up in a way that works for this. Some people have had issues with direct deposit in the past and prefer the paper trail of a physical check. And some people are simply not comfortable with electronic transfers of large sums. The IRS has not eliminated paper checks entirely, and exceptions still exist. But the default is clearly shifting toward digital payments, and if you are not set up for direct deposit, it is worth knowing that paper is going to be the slower road this season. Now let's spend some real time on the thing that is causing the most stress for people right now, which is refund delays. Because even though the system is generally processing refunds and even though the PATH Act hold has lifted, a lot of people are still sitting in limbo, with no clear explanation for why their money has not shown up. And the frustration of that is real and valid, especially when you have bills waiting and you filed weeks ago and everything seemed fine. So let me explain what is actually happening behind the scenes when a refund slows down or stops moving. The IRS uses a system of internal codes on something called a tax transcript to track where your return is in the processing pipeline. You may have heard about these codes if you have been looking into your refund status online. They sound technical and intimidating, but the basic concept is simple. Think of them like status updates. Certain codes mean your return is moving through the normal process without issues. Other codes mean something has triggered a pause, a closer look, or a hold. The most common reason a refund gets held up is not fraud. It is not even necessarily an error. It is often the system waiting for information to line up. Your employer's wage data needs to match what you reported on your return. Your bank account information needs to verify. Income figures need to reconcile with third-party reporting from your employer or other sources. If any of those things are still syncing up in the IRS system when your return hits, your refund can pause while everything catches up. This is frustrating, but it is a process issue, not an accusation. There is also a more active type of hold that the IRS places on returns that get flagged for fraud review. This sounds alarming, but it is important to understand that getting flagged does not mean you did anything wrong. The IRS uses sophisticated pattern recognition to identify returns that share characteristics with fraudulent filings, and sometimes those patterns catch legitimate returns in the net. If your refund has been frozen while the IRS reviews your return, the most likely scenario is that you will eventually get your money. It is just going to take longer because there are additional verification steps that need to happen first. In some cases, the IRS will send you a notice asking you to verify your identity or confirm specific information about your income or dependents. If you get one of those letters, please do not ignore it. Ignoring it makes the situation significantly worse and extends your wait time considerably. The letter will have specific instructions about what you need to do and what information you need to provide. Following those instructions promptly is the fastest path to getting your refund released. Speaking of IRS notices, I want to address this because getting mail from the IRS triggers a lot of anxiety for people, and understandably so. But the reality is that most IRS notices during tax season are not bad news. They are requests for information or verification, and they are part of the process of getting your refund to you accurately and securely. A notice saying your return needs more time to process, or asking you to confirm your identity through the IRS's verification portal, is not a red flag that you are in trouble. It is the system working the way it is designed to work, even though I absolutely understand that it does not feel that way when you open an envelope with IRS printed on the outside. There are also some broader factors this season that are worth understanding because they are contributing to the slower pace that some people are experiencing. IRS staffing has been under significant pressure. There have been disruptions to the workforce earlier in the year that created a backlog that the agency is still working through. When you combine a staffing challenge with millions of returns coming in simultaneously, the natural result is processing delays that ripple through the system. It is not a crisis, but it is a constraint, and it means that returns that require any kind of human review are taking longer to clear than they would in a fully staffed normal season. If your return was simple, filed electronically, with direct deposit chosen, and no credits requiring PATH Act verification, you have probably already received your refund, or will very soon. If your return has any of the complicating factors we have discussed, you are likely experiencing a longer wait, and now you know why. One thing I want to address because it genuinely confuses a lot of people is the question of what a large refund actually means for your financial picture. The average refund this year is around $2,400, and a lot of people feel genuine excitement about receiving that money. And I get it completely. That is real money that can make a real difference when it shows up. It can wipe out a credit card balance. It can cover a car repair you have been putting off. It can fund a few months of emergency savings. I am not going to minimize any of that because the practical impact of a $2,400 deposit when you need it is significant. But I also want to make sure you have the full picture, because a large refund is actually a sign that you overpaid your taxes throughout the year. That $2,400 was your money the whole time. It just sat with the IRS interest-free from the time you paid it in, whether through paycheck withholding or estimated payments, until now. For some people and some situations, that works perfectly well. Having that money withheld throughout the year can function as a forced savings mechanism if you know you would spend it otherwise and you need a lump sum for something specific. For other people, having access to that money in smaller increments throughout the year would be genuinely more useful for managing monthly expenses. There is no universally correct answer here. It depends on your personal financial situation, your spending habits, and what you actually need the money to do for you. What matters is that you understand what the refund represents, so you can make informed decisions about how you manage your withholding going forward. If you are still waiting on your refund right now, here is the practical guidance I want to leave you with. If you filed electronically with direct deposit and your return was straightforward, the standard processing window is roughly 21 days. If you are inside that window, give it a little more time before assuming something is wrong. If you are outside 21 days and you claim the Earned Income Tax Credit or Child Tax Credit, remember that those refunds were legally held until mid-February and are only now being released. So your timeline effectively started later than when you actually filed. Check your refund status on the IRS Where's My Refund tool or through the IRS 2Go app, which gives you the most current information available. If your status shows that your return is being reviewed, or if you receive any correspondence from the IRS, respond promptly and completely. The faster you provide whatever information they need, the faster your refund can move. And if your return was paper filed, I want to be direct with you. You are likely looking at a significantly longer wait. Paper processing is considerably slower than electronic processing in every season, and this one is no exception. The tax season of 2026 is genuinely a mixed picture. Refunds are larger than they were last year, which is real and meaningful good news for millions of households. But the path to getting those refunds has more friction in it this year than in previous seasons. Between the PATH Act delays, the IRS verification processes, the staffing constraints, and the shift toward digital delivery, most people are going to get their money. Most refunds are going to come through. But patience and some understanding of why things slow down sometimes is going to make the wait a lot less stressful than sitting in confusion, wondering what went wrong. Drop your questions and your situation in the comments below. I want to hear how things are going for you this season, and I am happy to help clarify anything I can. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one.